Hello everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I have my September TBR. So September was a month that I originally said a few weeks ago that I was not going to be doing any readathons. That has since changed. I am currently planning on participating in 3 month-long readathons plus the Buzzwordathon, and yeah, I went a little bit overboard, but every single one of these readathons are ones that I have done some iteration of in the past and that I absolutely love. So the 3 readathons I am planning on participating in the month of September is Becca's BookoplAthon. I've only done the 48-hour versions in the past, so I did not do the month-long one last September, but it looks really, really fun, and we're going to be playing that today. Then I'm also participating in Demonathon. This is done by Yumi the Book Demon, and this is the Cabinet of Curiosities one. This is a month-long readathon. I did not participate in any of the Demonathon stuff last year, but I did do the 2-week readathon in February, which I really enjoyed, so we do have prompts for this one. And then the third and final one that I'm going to do is the Magical Readathon Orilium. This is done by G from Book Roast. Again, I will leave everything linked down below, and this one is like a revamp of the previous Magical Readathon stuff with a whole new world, new species of characters, and we're going to be going on a journey to the magical school, which will then come into play next year sometime. And again, very, very excited for it, and that means we do have prompts for that as well. So one thing that I'm going to be trying to do is fit books that fit multiple readathons. So I've already sort of planned out my Demonathon and Magical Readathon journeys and books for those, like my TBR stuff. However, we're going to be playing Bookopoly first before I tell you about any of those, to see if I can actually fit those types of books into prompts for the Bookoplethon. Because if I can't, I might have to switch around my TBR, because I think we have at least 5 rolls for Bookopoly. If we get doubles, we have to add on rolls. We have 5 prompts plus a buddy read for the Demonathon, and we have 7 prompts for the Magical Readathon, although you don't have to do all of them. However, it's a month-long readathon. If I can double up on prompts for different readathons, I'm going to try, because you can't really double up on prompts for any of these readathons in one specific readathon. You get what I'm saying? I can have one book that does all 3 readathons, but I can't have one book that does multiple prompts in one readathon. I hope that made sense. And then the Buzzwordathon is something that I've been doing every single month. We have a buzzword. This month it's going to be dark, and then so hopefully I can fit a book in with the word dark in the title into these other readathons as well. I also do a TBR bucket pick, and I have not done that yet. I do think we're going to do that right now, get it ready to go, and see if it'll fit any prompts, because yeah, I have a lot of TBR books. This is the TBR bucket. Let's see what I'm going to get for this one first, and then we'll jump into Bookopoly. Okay. It's this one here, Aru Shah and the End of Time by Roshani Chokshi. So this is a middle grade that I've been meaning to read for a while. I actually have this on my e-reader, my Kindle, so it is something that I definitely would like to read. It is a middle grade fantasy. That's all I really know about it, but I've heard many, many good things. And I don't know currently what it would fit for any of the readathons, but I'm going to keep it in mind because of the fact that I do want to read this eventually, and I feel like it probably could fit. So, yeah, let's keep that in the back of our minds and move over to the Bookopoly board and play that game. Okay, so we have the tiny little board that came as a printable from Becca, so that's what we have. We also have our 2 dice and our community shelf and chance cards. The community shelf cards are full of prompts from the other 2 readathons that I'm doing to hopefully get those in if I ever land on that square. And then I also have chance cards. Half of these are books that I've already tentatively picked out for those readathons, and then the other half are books that I do desperately want to read, but I have not picked them out for September for this readathon. So I wouldn't be mad about getting it. However, I don't think they necessarily fit any prompts. I would have to move things around. So I do have, you know, like an even number of things that I definitely want to read for this readathon and things that I do want to read, just not right now exactly. So yeah, we also have a little dog here. This is from my version of Monopoly, which I think is the Here and Now version, which came out in like the early 2000s sometimes. I had it for a while, and so it's not the original Scotty dog, but it is a dog. So we're gonna put that on go, because that is where we're going to start. We are going to be doing 5 rolls as we go around the board for our prompts. If we do roll a double, we will have to add a roll on. The normal rules of Monopoly and Becca's Bookopoly. So that is what we're going to start with, and we're going to start with roll number 1. Okay. Can we see this one? We have a 7. Chance, right away, on chance. Okay, so our little chance card, these are so tiny, is Star Daughter. Okay, so roll number 1 was a chance, and this is the card that we got for that, which is Star Daughter by Shweta Takrar, or this book here. So this I'm actually very happy about. This was a book that I had actually picked out for, I think, both of the other readathons, and yeah, that's why it was a chance. I wanted to read this book in the first place. This fits for the Demonathon prompt of the Jewel Cabinet, which is to read a book with a gorgeous or shiny cover. And for the Magical Readathon, it fits for the prompt of Mists of Solitude, which is to read a standalone, because it is a standalone. So I'm very happy with this pick. It also is a very gorgeous book, and I'm excited to try it out. Okay, roll number 2. Hopefully we can see that, yes. So we now have an 8. Okay, which is color. So we need a book that has a color in the title. Okay, roll number 2, a color in the title. So basically red, orange, indigo, anything that has a color in the title. And the thing is, I don't think I have any books picked out specifically for the other readathons yet that have a color in the title. So I need to figure out a book with the color spelled out in the title. Okay, so this took a while to find. I think one of the only books on my TBR that has a color in the title is going to be Dragon Age Blue Wraith by Nunzio de Filippis. This is a graphic novel comic bind-up series about Dragon Age, obviously. It spans between Dragon Age Inquisition to the new Dragon Age that will eventually come out. The thing is, I have not read the graphic novel / comic bind-up series from before this one, which is Dragon Age Deception. So ultimately, I'll be putting both of these on my TBR because I need to read this one first, but they are very, very quick to read because, I mean, look at that. So yeah, Blue Wraith. I was not planning on reading it, but I'm not mad that I'm going to be. Okay, roll number 3. 10. Okay, so from one to the other, and this one is going to be another buzzword pick. This is going to be anything that has times of day. So we have day, night, afternoon, dawn, twilight, evening, etc. Okay, roll number 3, we got time of day. So again, on that little square we saw it could be like day, night, midnight, anything like that. Anything with time of day on the cover. And for this one, I'm going with Survive the Night by Riley Sager. So this is the newest mystery thriller book from Riley Sager. I have read all of his other books, and for me personally, they had been just sort of getting better and better as they went. I know this one has mixed reviews, but I feel like a lot of his have mixed reviews. I am very curious to see what this is all about though. I don't actually know too much, but I believe it is about a girl who is college-aged getting into a car for a ride with like a friend or maybe an acquaintance, and something happens from there. I don't know much. And this is actually a book that I had already picked out for the Magical Readathon. It fits the prompt of Obsidian Falls, which is to read a thriller or mystery book. And so far, I'm probably gonna jinx it right now, so far no doubles. Did not jinx it, but we do have 11. Another chance card. Okay, okay. Which is Aru Shah. Roll number 4 was another chance card. I did not think I was going to actually get 2 chances on this board, but you know, I'm not mad at it because the one that we got is Aru Shah. And we actually talked about this one earlier because it was my TBR bucket pick as well, which is why I put it on a chance card. It's perfect. It's one of the books that I need to read this month now anyway. And yeah, middle grade fantasy by Roshani Chokshi. I'm very, very excited for it because a lot of people seem to love it. Okay, potentially our last roll. Another 11. This will be our last roll though, so. Another chance card. How are we still doing this? 3 chance cards and 2 of the like what, railroad stations? This is just hilarious to me. Okay, what is our next one? This is going to be The Cardigans, and this is by Cole McCade. And then finally, we are done at roll number 5. I got no doubles, which is great. However, it was another chance card, and we got The Cardigans by Cole McCade. Now, I'm not as excited about this one because it was one of the chance cards that is one of the books that I did not necessarily want to read. This time I had 5 of each, but I'm not mad at it because this is a book that I meant to read in July for the Indie Accords. It's a mystery, so I guess I could have had it for mystery thriller as well, but we already have Survive the Night, we're good. But it is a mystery about 2 police officers who I believe are LGBTQ, and there have been killings of gay men, and they are trying to figure out exactly what happens. I know there is some sort of romance in there as well. It just sounds very, very interesting, and it is set up sort of like a procedural type of thing, like a drama TV show, because The Cardigans is actually Criminal Intentions Season 1, Episode 1, and that's how this is set up. So it is a book from a series, but they're sort of set up like, oh, it's an episode. I'm very excited to try it out. So those are all the rolls for BookoplAthon, but obviously we did not have enough prompts to fill in all the books that I was already planning on reading for the other 2 readathons, so we are going to then go over Demonathon and then the Magical Readathon as well. So for Demonathon, we have 5 prompts plus a buddy read. The first prompt for the Demonathon is the Demon Cabinet, which is to read a book about rivals or broken relationships. For this one, I am planning to read These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This is a like Romeo and Juliet retelling set in 1920s Shanghai, so there are going to be rivals here. I'm pretty sure it's rival gangs instead of rival families, but I could be mistaken. And I've heard nothing but good things about this book. I believe there's a mention of possibly a monster as well, so I don't know how much fantasy we're getting into with this, but I'm very excited to try it out. The second prompt is the Potions and Cures Cabinet, which is to read a book with magic potions or future technology. For this one, I'm going to read The Rithmatist by Brandon Sanderson. This, I believe, is a standalone from Brandon Sanderson, and when I was looking up books that have potions in them, this is one of the ones that kept coming up, and I own it, so I obviously want to try it out. I've only ever read Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, which is a sci-fi, and this one I do believe is more of a young adult fantasy, even though I know he's very popular for his adult fantasies, and I don't actually know much about it, but it does say it has illustrations in it, which makes me extra excited. Prompt number 3 for the Demonathon is Ancient Manuscripts, and this is to read a book about uncovering an old mystery or using ancient knowledge. For this one, I'm going to be reading Slayer by Kirsten White, so I figure this is about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's set in the same world, it is something that takes place after the series and all that kind of stuff, and they have to use the ancient knowledge to figure out how to be watchers and slayers and all this kind of stuff, because in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer universe, it started forever ago, basically. So I figure this is going to count. Prompt number 4 is the Jewel Cabinet, which was to read a book with a gorgeous or shiny cover, and I did mention before that I'm going to read Star Daughter. And then prompt number 5 is Medical Marvels, which is to read a book that comforts you or you think will be a new favorite. And for this one, I'm going to read The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I read a different Christina Lauren earlier this year, absolutely loved it, 5 out of 5 stars, and I desperately want to read more. I've owned this one for a little while, and so yeah, I think it's going to be a new favorite, but also I find romance novels very comforting. And then the only other prompt we have for the Demonathon is the buddy read, which is for Ghosts of the Past, where we will be reading A Softness of the Heart by Lulu Kadhim. This one is going to be like a short story. I like the fact that Demonathon, when they do buddy reads, it's basically all short stories that you can find online for free, and I'm very curious to see what this one is going to be about because I know nothing about it. Okay, now we're going to move into the magical readathon Orilium. The first prompt is the Novice Path, and that is to read a book with a map in it. For that one, I actually will be reading the Rithmatist, and I could have just left that over there since we already talked about it, but I did want to show it does have a map in it. Prompt number 2 is the Ashthorn Tree, which is a book that keeps tempting you or is on top of your TBR. For that one, I'm planning on reading Barbarian Lover by Ruby Dixon. This is the third book in the Ice Planet Barbarian series. I read the first book 2 months ago, I read the second book last month, and I'm planning on reading this one in this next month coming up. So I've been reading like one every single month, and it's short, which I thought was a good thing for this readathon month that I'm crazily going into, but also they're just so fun and so easy to read. It's sci-fi romance, and I've just really enjoyed the first two, so obviously I want to read this. It is near the top of my TBR. The third prompt is the Mists of Solitude, and that is to read a standalone. We did talk about how I'm going to read Stardaughter. The fourth prompt is Ruin of the Sky, which is to read a book featuring ghosts, a haunted house, or other supernatural elements. And for this one, I'm going to be reading After Me, The Great Flood by Jason Robert Ducharme. This is an indie published horror haunted house type of story. It's a little under 200 pages, I believe it is, so it should be quick to read through. I also read a different book by this author earlier this year and enjoyed it for what it was. Like, it was a very dark, gruesome horror story, and I'm curious about a haunted house. So that's what we're going to be doing. The fifth prompt is Obsidian Falls, which is to read a thriller or mystery book, and that is where Survive the Night comes in. The sixth prompt is Tower of Rumination, which is to read a 5-star prediction. For that one, I'm reading The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, because I do definitely think it's going to be a new favorite and a 5-star. And then the seventh prompt for the magical readathon is the Orilium Academy arc. This one is to read a book with a school setting, and for this one I'm going to be doing Slayer by Kirsten White, because as I mentioned before, it is set in the same world as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but it does appear that our characters are going to be like at the Watcher Academy, so close enough. And then the only other book that we did not talk about yet is going to be my Buzzwordathon pick, because none of the books I picked here have the word dark in the title. So what I'm planning on reading is Daughters of Darkness by L.J. Smith. This is the second book in the Night World series. I just finished the first book in this series, like this last weekend, for the Choose Your Own Adventure readathon, which was very, very fun. I had a lot of fun with everybody that did that with me. And yeah, it was like a book that I read in one day, so I figured this is going to be the same sort of thing, a book that I can read in about 1 to 2 days at the most. And because I'm fitting it into all of the other readathons, like this is the only one that does not fit for any other readathon besides the Buzzwordathon, yeah, I think that's what we're going to be going with. And so that is everything for the month of September. It looks like I have 13 total books to read in the month. So we have 10 books over here. I am counting both of the graphic novels as individual ones, since I do need to read Deception before I can get to Blue Wraith. And then we have 3 ebooks as well. But for the fact that I'm trying to do 3 month-long readathons plus the Buzzwordathon, that's actually not too bad. I do think it was a little bit funny that my Bookopoly literally only gave me railroad stations, I'm pretty sure is what those are, and chance cards. I did not get any of the other specific prompts, but it sort of worked out in my favor, so I'm not going to complain. I just think it's interesting. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Let me know down below if you're planning on doing any readathons this month, because like I said before, I was planning on doing none, and I somehow got swept up in 3. Subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more videos. I do have videos up Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I will see you then. Bye!